You're listening to Tiana Kocher, and my money is on her becoming the next international superstar. Turning an education in musical theater to a successful career in R&B music, she is making major moves.
Major move. Oh.
Before we get to all the heights of your career, let's start at the beginning. So, when did you first find your passion for R&B music?
It's been one of those things where I was just kind of singing as I grew up. You know, my mom made it a point to just kind of like experiment with me. Like she just kind of threw me into different things. Eventually, like I just found myself just wanting to be like a solo artist. But it didn't happen till I was in the UK, where I lived for 2 years studying musical theater.
Yep.
I honestly thought at the time that I was gonna live in the UK because I had a boyfriend then.
The boys will do it for you.
Yeah,
Have you guessed your life choices?
Listen. I was like convinced that I was gonna stay in the UK. I was like, oh my gosh, like I went back to the Philippines to my mom.
Yeah.
Because my dad's in California. So I went to the Philippines and we went to the beach one spring break, and there was just this guy in the beach that had like a ukulele that was just like singing and jamming. And so my mom and like I brought a couple friends of mine and were like, hey, why don't you go, like go sing? And I was like, oh my gosh, oh, I'm so nervous. And I was like, okay, fine. And so I was like, hey, do you know the chords to Put Your Records On by Corinne Bailey Rae?
Girl, put your records on.
Exactly. And he was like, yeah, I do. And so he started going, I started singing. My mom took a video, she posted it on her Facebook. And then some producer in LA saw it and was like, hey, does she want to come and meet a couple producers and record some demos? And it just kind of went from there.
So you went to a super prestigious school in the UK, Cambridge, right?
Yeah.
Would you say that your time in musical theater prepared you for music in the R&B sphere?
100% in the sense that I got my training.
Okay.
They expected a lot from you. Like your first class is an hour of cardio that we all do together. Like you, like it's
So
hard.
it's really like training for that pop star life, that life in the spotlight.
And they prep you so well, especially in terms of like communicating.
Would you recommend people who want a career in the spotlight, whether that be acting, modeling, singing, rapping, do you think an education is necessary? Obviously, people are born with natural talents. You were obviously born with a natural talent. But would you recommend people go the education route before trying to like get it going on their own?
Oh, 100%.
Okay, cool.
Like you said, people are born with that talent, but they need to learn how to enhance it. It's so important to know who's come before you.
Oh, yeah.
I find it extremely important to do like your research and to know like what's expected, like what you're stepping into, like the greats around you. Like if I like was walking around in LA and I was just walking around like nonchalantly, and like I wouldn't know that this guy next to me is a music executive, I'd feel so dumb for like completely blowing my shot and not even like introducing myself, be like, hi. You know what I mean?
You gotta know your stuff. If you're in this business, you gotta do your research. You gotta know your history and know who is who. Because at the end of the day, it's all about who you know. I have never met an R&B artist from the Philippines or who has origins in the Philippines. Maybe that's just me. But have you found that has come with challenges or advantages, or how do you kind of separate yourself from like the typical mainstream R&B artist?
That you brought that up, because here, it's R&B it's growing. It's not like it's still kind of like underground. It's hard to get their attention here. And so I grew up listening to a lot of jazz, soul, and R&B. So that's where I get a lot of my influences from.
Absolutely.
But my mom's mom, my grandma, is like a full-on opera singer. Like full,
Wow. Do you
yeah.
do any opera? Have you tried it?
That's where I was able to get like my classical musical theater from. Like we call it your Disney princess voice.
Yes. If you can compare your voice to any Disney princess, who would you say you sound the most like?
Right now,
Right now.
I would say I sound the most like Meg from Hercules.
Oh, she sings
I
I
won't
won't say
say the
I'm in love. I know that song. Okay. I was like, which one is that? I just want to bring up, all right, your newest single. I don't allow myself to curse on my own show, but F with you. I love it. It was so relatable. And you're only 22. You're young, but you sing your songs like you've got some life experience. Like you mentioned, like past loves in your life. Um, are your lyrics based on real events or kind of just imagination? So speak on that a little bit.
I do write from experience.
Okay.
I do. Without a doubt, I do. But there are some songs that I co-write with other people
Okay.
and they're usually like a bit not, I wouldn't say older, but definitely have gone through more than I have. But yeah, don't trip. Like people are surprised like to know that it's not about a guy. Don't Trip is actually about like a former manager of mine that
Oh wow.
yeah, so I'm able to like take things like that and turn it into like I'm able to make it mysterious, and I think that's why people are like when they listen to my music they're kind of just like
Who's she talking about? Like,
yeah,
yeah, you got to
yeah.
make it mysterious, and
Mhm.
I love that you see value in being vulnerable. Being vulnerable is important, you know, as an artist, I think.
Absolutely.
What advice would you have for other people who are trying to follow your footsteps or looking to get into the music industry? You've gotten pretty far. You know, you've collaborated with a lot of great artists, and you are doing great work on your own. So, what would you suggest?
Because that, you can always kill people with kindness. And the other piece of advice I gave is growing up, I never really saw any person that looked like me, that mix, that did what I did, that really, really, really made it in the industry. And so I never really had anyone to look up to in that sense where I'm like, I mean, don't get me wrong, like I listen to like Aaliyah and Tamina, all that, and be like, I want to be like her. But I never really had someone that I can relate to. Like nobody that had the same upbringing, nobody that came from the same place, nobody that really did the same thing as me. And I was like, I want to be like her. And so I'm reminding myself that if I give up and there are girls that are like me, because I know I'm not skinny, I know I don't look like every single girl, I know I don't look like like your typical like what people expect of you, but that's because I choose not to. I choose to be different, because if you were to put me in a room and all those other girls in the room, your eyes would go to me because I'm different, and you're put on this earth to be different. Like, why would you change the way you look? Why would you fit in when you're literally made to stand out?
Representation is so important.
It's so important.
You
It's so
gotta
important.
have it.
Absolutely. So
being kind,
being yourself.
being
And it's like I
yourself,
said, like all these things are like so cliche, but
but it's true.
it really, oh man, like it freaking, it hits hard. And
Well, thank you so much, Tiana, for coming on Major Moves. Tell our viewers where they can follow you.
of course, so I am lucky to have a unique name. So all my social medias are all the same. Thank God. So it's at Tiana Kocher. That's Tiana Kocher. And so that's my handle for my Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, and Facebook. And also everything you need to know about me, like any upcoming shows, hopefully soon, articles.
Hopefully.
Yes, and new music is all in my website, tianakocher.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much.